We believe that our software will be a building operating system and it'll be in every single building in the world. We're saying, hey, let's get people sped up in their little bucket so that what they're delivering is something that can continually grow. And then yes, at the end of a project, you're not delivering a flat floor plan, it's a PDF. You're delivering a living floor plan in 3D to the owner. That they can use that now for everything that they're going to do post. My name's Timber Barker. It's all wood. It's hard to forget. There's a whole story behind it, but I won't get into it. But yeah, I'm based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And for the last 5.5 years, I've been building a software solution that we believe is a game changer. We built it out of frustration. We believe that anyone and everyone can become a 3D modeler for floor plans in less than an hour. So we created a 3D modeling software to allow people to do just that. And then we expand upon that. So you're like, okay, well, why did you do that? Again, frustration. Construction projects, a lot of communication going on. A lot of different teams doing different things. It's why you need construction admin sometimes. So it's a lot of CA work. And they come in and they do their thing and they pass off a deliverable or something to the next team that has to do something, to the next team that has to do something that's scheduled, and to the next team. And it's very complex. And it is. And these are professionals. They're really good at what they do. They just don't communicate very well. So we saw an opportunity. And we said, let's have them communicate in something they can edit and change. And let's have them communicate in 3D. Let's be the first 3D communication platform in the world. So we started to build that. And we use an AI image recognition that can take a flat floor plan, line drawing, or sketch. Like you could literally just draw on a grid piece of paper, take a picture of it, and our software turns that into an editable 3D model. And I can share it right away. And if I can share it right away, we can communicate right away. And if we can communicate right away, no matter where we're at, so you're in the field or you're in home office or you're in Dubai on the beach. I don't know if you go to the beach in Dubai, but
I think you can now.
Maybe. I think there's a beach there.
That's sidebar.
They're like little waves. I don't think they're like
the whole thing's
like
like a beach, right? It's just sand everywhere.
I think they made it. Yeah, they made the city on the sand. They made a beach. So yes, there is a beach. All right. So you could be on the beach and you can be communicating with your teams, but you're communicating in a 3-dimensional space. And it's a 3-dimensional space an intern can create. And you're probably like, okay, well, why is that important? Well, that's the future of software. Software has to be scalable, has to be available to everybody and on every device. And so if you look at like Adobe, so Adobe's got a great company, great software. We've all probably used an Adobe piece of software. So they got Photoshop and Illustrator, if you're familiar with those. Well, along comes Canva. And Canva comes out of Australia, out of nowhere. And then Figma. And what they did was they came in and they created a simpler solution. So it was easier to learn. It was more affordable, and then it was connected, which means I can invite you into my Canva project and you can start commenting right away, no matter where you're at. Then that moves a project further along. So we took a look at the 3D world, and you got AutoCAD, who owns most of the 3D world right now. And then you have Blender, which is free. And then you have SketchUp, which is now, it used to be owned by Google. Now it's owned by
Trimble.
Yeah. And it's a great solution, but it's still geared for professionals. And we said, well, wait a second, there's an opportunity here. We can do exactly what Canva and Figma did to the 3D world. We can have everyone become a 3D modeler very quickly. And let's focus on floor plans because we care about the construction industry. And there's some public safety stuff we can talk about a little bit later too. But that's why we built it. We built it for everyone. And we love software because it is for everyone. It doesn't matter man, woman, child, doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter where you go to church. You can use this software and it's for you, which is why we love software. It is a game changer. It's helping a lot of different companies, and there's so many different avenues that you can take this kind of software. And so we're now just getting into the market. I'd say over the last 5 months, just started getting a lot of different types of customers, construction companies, security integrators, and we're really focused on with security integrators right now. We feel that a living floor plan solution is also what we call it. We believe every school needs that. I've talked to 1,200 schools so far. They don't have an effective way to share a floor plan. And if they do, it's a PDF of what the architects gave them when the building was built. Mm-hmm. it's very difficult to update. Who's going to update it? During COVID, schools changed drastically. They changed density. They changed the name of what a room even is. And that's a big deal to a first responder. And we said, okay, there's got to be a more living floor plan solution that's affordable, that allows the facilities team or the security team to update it on their own, but have those updates be in real time. And if you can easily share it with the first responder, well, it's a game changer. You can now just show the vital building information they want. They want, where's the water shut off? Where's the electrical shut off? Where's the defibs? Where's the fire extinguishers? Where are the cameras placed? Then we took it another step further and we said, okay, this is a building operating system, right? Because if I can update my floor plan, and the floor plan is the central hub of every project that comes, after that in maintaining a property, then let's start piping in data. So we can bring in energy information, so HVAC information that's real time, IoT sensors, your VMS or your camera system, your access control system. Now imagine having that in a 3-dimensional digital twin that you can always stay updated with, but now you have real time data you can show. Now it's a single pane of glass, and if I can share that out with a first responder, we know where the cameras are at, and I get the actual feeds.
So, all right.
Sorry, we went way deep.
Dude, we could go. All right, so first and foremost, this is not a sponsored episode because I really think the idea behind this is really cool. And that's the reason why I wanted to bring you in and talk to you about it because, and I wanted to preface that by saying like, we're not here to sell anybody on anything, but what we are here to talk about is the idea behind a modeling software to rule them all. And basically that kind of mindset, which is what happens when models are readily available to people across industry lines, up and down the chain, from owner level all the way down to a steel fabricator, up and down the chain. What happens then, right? And that's where I get really excited. And that's where a conversation was had a couple weeks ago that I wanted to bring Eddie in on, because Eddie and I have talked about this a good bit too, and he's heard me ranting about this. So you have a similar mindset in that there are a lot of processes that we are building right now that could be replaced or rolled up, kind of the accordion, can squash them together by just having a central model. So dig into that. What are you kind of seeing there too? And Eddie, I don't know, maybe if you want to prime that.
Eddie,
bit
this is the first time hearing it, but you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Seeing it is like...
I kind of asked to come in cold, right? I asked to come in curious. I want to hit you with this. I see a lot of denial in the industry. We learn things, we become good at them. We think that skill set is... it was difficult. We came by it, through a lot of sweat and tears and everything. And then Canva comes and makes that very difficult thing that I learned really not all that hard. Everybody is able to do it. And so you're democratizing, the ability to just get at 3D modeling information. We've thrown some posts out recently about, could modeling, like a modeling software, could that ever become something that we would build from? Like we would build from a 3D model. People are like, oh, we could never do that. There's all these problems. We need PDF. We need this. We need that. And it's like, okay. I feel like we're in denial about the change that's happening. I remember a year and a half ago somebody telling me that their job as a coder was completely secure from AI and wouldn't be changed at all. About a year and a half ago. And then OpenAI's founder a week ago said...
No, that was Claude's founder.
That was Claude's founder? Okay,
yeah.
So Claude's founder
Which
says...
I believe more.
Okay, 9 months to 90% of you developers really, being upset by...
Like code? Like coding?
Yeah, coding.
Yeah, so 6 years ago, we knew this was coming. Writing code.
So the denial factor, just like... No, it's coming out. I don't know how long. I don't know what the horizon is, but I want to cue you up there. Like what you're talking about, it makes sense to me because we were talking about our kids earlier. My 8-year-old can pick up a 3D software navigating it. No big deal. It's native. PDF would be foreign.
You'd
That's
frustrate
native.
them.
Yes.
Right. I mean, our kids are growing up with Roblox, Minecraft. I mean, I come from the video game industry and the film industry. Everything is highly visual and tactile, even the sets. So, and there's a lot of similarities with construction with that. So when you say like denial, I will say that we couldn't build this without the professionals. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we're nerds in a cave. And we look at all the professionals in the construction space and we say, yeah, some of the things you're doing, like you could just use Slack and improve a process. Right now, you could use Microsoft Teams more effectively between all the teams. You don't. You use texts and voicemails and emails. And then you put these documents in emails. And then you could just use Google Drive right now and improve the process. So yeah, the construction industry is a little slow to adopt certain things. And we're here to say, hey, your next buyer, that's your kids. Your next team member, your next employee, that's your kids. What are they used to doing? How do they consume information? It's all visual. Look at their iPads. Look at what they're using. So we're kind of future-proofing that in a way. All we're saying is, hey, we're Slack in 3D that you can have right now. And what do we build on top of that to make that better? And we need professionals in the construction space's help. And that's what we're doing right now. We got our product to 95% product market fit. And any advice I'd ever give to any software engineer or any entrepreneur is, I say trep. Any entrepreneur.
Really cool.
That's pretty cool.
You guys know trep?
No, trep?
Trep.
No, that's
Trep,
new to me.
no.
A lot of people don't know that term. And I'm like, wow.
It's like shorthand for entrepreneur?
Yeah.
So
Because I don't want to say
I'm a
that.
trep.
I don't even want to spell it.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I mean, how many can you spell it?
TREP?
I just learned it. I'm not going to try.
I just do like, spell check because I always
Yeah.
spell it wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm just like trap.
Trap.
But then now I got to
I was
teach.
spelling it.
Now I got to
Yeah.
teach people what that is. So it's actually wasting a lot of my time.
Kind of like
to do
spelling
that,
et cetera, like fully spelling et cetera.
Yeah.
Like you do that one time, you're like, wait, what?
No, ETC period.
ETC period,
I'm
like
out.
no,
I'm
like
out.
that. Yeah, I saw et cetera spelled out for the first time a couple years ago, and I was like, what the crap is that? No, man, ETC all day long.
All right,
That's
come
freaking me
back.
out.
Focus,
Anyway,
focus.
sorry.
No, you're right. Yeah.
ADHD.
I have it as well.
All us treps do. No.
All
Anyway.
trips do. But
All
okay, so
trips do.
back to
I
what I was saying
don't,
on
so
that.
we're going to focus now.
Back to the advice to the entrepreneurs with a lot of that is get your product in front of somebody half baked. Don't get fully product market fit. You have to go talk to people. Boots on the ground. Go knock doors. You know how easy it is to talk to someone? Everybody wants to talk. And you ask them a question about a pain point they have or a process improvement thing that you're kind of thinking, just ideate with them. They're going to help you. And they're going to say, well, you know what we need, this, and this. And you might not be able to build or deliver all of that in a solution, but you got to talk to them. So right now, where we're at as a company, we're getting customers. We're getting, on average, around 5 customers a week right now. And so we're just barely growing, but we're continually talking to our clients, our customers. And then, of course, hey, where should we take a couple, our next feature set? So we're talking to a lot of people. My biggest advice is don't get it perfect because it won't be perfect. And you can't be perfect in that. Go talk. So coming back to your question about just, I don't know, maybe that pushback or that slow to adopt certain things, that'll always be there, especially in the construction industry. How do we bridge that gap? Right? How do we get over there? Talk. We just talk to them. We show them what we have, and we say, "Hey, how would you use this? Or would you use this at all? Or what feature would you like added onto it that's going to save you half an hour of your day? Like think about just a half an hour of your day to somebody. That's a big deal. So we're just like start small. Let's just start here, and what we have now after 5 years of developing it out and talking to a lot of people. We have an excellent solution that anyone can pick up and learn in less than an hour, be proficient at, and share and communicate and layer on data and get estimations. I mean, there's so many different things you can do with this software.
The thing that I'm excited about is where it could go.
Yeah.
Right. And like, so like directionally, like where you guys are at now, that where you're at now versus like where you're looking to take things is what excites me the most. Because you think about the current state of how BIM is done in our industry. And it's the 3D model start to PDF, back to 3D model to PDF, back to 3D model, back to PDF. And it's just like up and down, up and down, and up and down, and up and down. And that in itself is driving me absolutely bonkers looking at. I know we've talked about this before too. But we really don't have a solution that can take it end to end. Like, so when I say end to end, I mean like, okay, the architect comes up with the design. From there, an engineer is able to put in the bricks, the sticks, or whatever to make it like calc and all of that, right? From there, we're able to push that into a fabrication shop to where the members can be made and sent out to the field. Our studs, our walls could be framed out. Taking it end to end, you detail it and you push it to the field and it's made. And then from there, take it to the owner level and the owner can look at it and say, okay, now I have live access to like camera feeds like you're already doing, where I can click on it and like get a live camera feed and it's really interactive. It's really easy for me to look at. So that type of solution, if you think about what is involved or what it takes to get to that now versus what it might take in the future and what that might look like. When I talk about the accordion and the communication, think about all of the apps that we currently have to deal with and all of the different communication devices that we have versus what it could potentially mean for the industry to have it all in one spot. And I think based off of my experience in BIM, I think 3D could be a very, very good place for that. And it seems like you kind of have common ground on like directionally where this could go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we believe that. I mean, we built a holistic platform. It can help in pre-design. It's going to get you from 0 to 30 miles per hour very fast. It's not going to replace the professionals. We're not looking at replacing certain professional softwares, nor do we want to. We want to stay kind of that middle layer between them. Like you said, it goes from a drawing or just a site walk to a CAD team to Revit to Bluebeam, and then all the exports you have in between that and the version controls you have between that. We looked at that and said, well, that's really complicated. That's going to be a tough one to solve. What we should do is just enhance communication. And then while enhancing communication, start building in features that all of those have to save additional time. We just saw that there wasn't a holistic line of communication from all of the teams.
Yeah.
Design schematic, which then goes to, like you said, your nuts and bolts team. So your MEP group who has to come in and build, 4 or 5 pages in your CD set, right? And then you have the interior designer, which is different than your interior decorator, which is different than your architect, which is different. So you see all the different siloed teams, even your security team, which is separate. Even your spec team for the doors, which could fall under security, very different team. All of these different things with different products as well. And everyone's trying to build some very complex building. We believe that going to your point, a holistic solution that can help a person, no matter what skill set they have, no matter what device they have, can get information fast and then make a decision or help someone make a decision faster, right? Why are we having 5 meetings? Let's cut that down in half. And so that's where we're focused. We're saying, hey, let's get people sped up in their little bucket so that what they're delivering is something that can continually grow. And then yes, at the end of a project, you're not delivering a flat floor plan that's a PDF. You're delivering a living floor plan in 3D to the owner. That they can use that now for everything that they're going to do post. So the vision of where this is going, we believe that our software will be a building operating system and it'll be in every single building in the world.
Detailed, right? That's another component.
Detailed out. So everything in your walls. All right. Wouldn't you love to buy a house and know what's in your walls before you drill into it? You ever drilled into a wall and then you get sprayed and you're like, I didn't know there's a water line here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Me. I've done it like 4 times. So I would love to know that. I would love to know, I don't know code in buildings. I don't know what ADA code really I do now, but I didn't before.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know that. What's in my walls? 16 2x4, 16 on center. I got some, on this side I got I got drywall on this side. On that side I got, I think, brick. It looks like brick, right? I'd love to have that information. Now, if I have that information, I can plan ahead. So that's what we see for big buildings. Big buildings should have a digital twin of every single floor that any team can grab and use that template to do whatever they want. So if they're doing a new event, if they're doing a parking plan, even a security plan, evac plan, a remodel, a new layout for people, like we just went through with COVID, like it was a nightmare. Now people are coming back into the office just barely. So it's like you got to put them somewhere. You have asset tracking and you have people management of side of things. You have so many things, and guess what? That floor plan, that space, that's the central hub. Every project that comes after that is a spoke in a wheel. And we aim to be that central pane of glass view where I don't have to, like you mentioned all these apps we're using and all this technology we're using. I believe in the next 18 months with my own nerdy research that we are going to have more AIs developed in the security space for buildings than ever before. The problem with that, because it sounds great, doesn't it? But the problem with that is you got all of these different systems now someone's has to sign into. No. We are the where is it? You have all these new IoT sensors coming out for things. You have some fantastic cameras coming out. I have seen that are going to be a game changer. You have new AIs built on top of those cameras to do gun detection. If someone's laying on the ground too long or someone's running too fast down a hallway and it alerts a camera, because someone can't stare at cameras all day. Come on. It's just not that effective. So when you have the alert, our software is, where is that? We can show you exactly where that's at. So we want to work with everybody. We're working with API partners, OEMs, design firms, construction firms, property management groups, and we want to work with all of them and get them all ingested into now what we call is the living floor plan. So I know I jumped way ahead because you said, hey, where's this going?
No, I think that's important.
Where it's going.
That's important because I think from there we can work back, right? And
Yeah.
For me, that's kind of the cannonball that flies through the air. Is like, holy crap! All right, where is this going? And this is a thing that like I've been thinking about for a while. And then when we finally got our heads together and we started talking about it, I was like, okay, all right, now Timber's he's seeing it and you're making steps to get there, which I think is really cool. But yeah, my mindset has been, if you have that one centralized place where everybody can come to, people can detail, people can model what they do and communicate that with the rest of the team, what you're doing is you're rolling up tech. And so you don't have all of these different logins in all different places. And I think that that's an area that we need to be aware of, and it could happen. And that's a disruptor in my opinion. And so that's what I kind of wanted to talk about is like, what could this look like? And is it possible? Right?
Let's work back from it.
Eddie, dig in.
Okay, well, let's go from the beginning.
Yes.
I am a potential building owner. I want to build an office for myself, a doctor's office for myself. So,
Okay.
how do you see project inception changing when you and I develop a sketch? We start there, and then let's start walking this thing through.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're a dentist, which is kind of funny you brought that up. I almost was a dentist.
All right.
And then I was like, I don't know if I can dig in dirty mouths and pop a cyst and it squirts in my eye.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm on a permanent COVID look. No, not me.
Not
anyway, tangent. Okay, let's start there. So you're like, okay, you need to find land, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna go find land. You're gonna call a real estate agent, or you're gonna start looking around. And there's a lot of stuff you have to do to be able to do that. And let's just start at real estate. How many times have you, this space right here? How long did it take you to find this space? How many places did you have to walk through to find this space?
At least 5, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
and it was empty, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the current process, right? I want to find a new space. And I'll jump to the land in a second, but let's just talk about a building. And we went through this as well. 13 we walked through, empty with pillars. I asked the agent, I said, how many people can we fit in here? And she was like, well, the rule of thumb is 100 square feet per person. I was like, but I need to put like 4 offices in here and a break room and another conference room. And she was like, well, you got to hire an interior designer or architectural group or drafts team to kind of lay something out for you. I'm like, okay. So I call around, $5,000 to retain anyone before I even know if I want a space. So I'm like, well, that's frustrating. So what do? We drive around to every single one of them, spend about 2.5 weeks just thinking we know what the spaces could look like, but we couldn't. Frustrating, okay? Now take and what do they give you? A brochure, right? Before you walk the space and you know you want to walk it, they give you a brochure. And you're kind of looking for, 2,000 square feet of whatever, right? So you kind of know what you want. So they give you a brochure. You're trying to visualize that flat floor plan now. And if they've gone far and given you different layouts to help you kind of ideate what you want, great. They went the extra mile, but you normally don't get that. So now just imagine taking a photograph of that floor plan, bringing it into a 3D model, and just with your finger, drag and drop certain things just to get it good enough, and then do a quick little POV walkthrough. And that's what we did. We went through 13 buildings. We found one we kind of liked. I took a picture of it on site with my iPad, started to build that out, was able to share that with the team and say, hey, here's a couple layouts, here's this and that. And I would say within 30 minutes, we determined we didn't want the space. We didn't have to pay $5,000 to understand what that space looked like. Now let's take it one step further. Imagine driving down the road and you see a big QR code and it says, space for lease. You take a picture of that QR code and it gives you this space right here laid out in 6 or 7 different ways. And then you start playing around with it because you can. You can play around with the walls. You can play around with anything. You're not trying to figure out what a bearing wall is or anything like that. You're looking for the electrical outlets because you got to put desks or something. Like you're looking for certain things like, will it work? Before you even walk through it, how much time are we going to save there? Now, when you're playing with that data can go right back to the agent. Now the agent knows you're not just a looky-loo. You're really interested in looking at that. And now you're going to determine that you don't need to walk through 5, maybe 2. That's where you start, and that's where you could start with a software like what we have built. Now let's take your land, for example. Well, we allow you to bring any image in to our solution. Sure, it's in a 3D skybox. I don't know how to describe what a skybox is, but it comes in 3D. So you can take a Google Earth screenshot of a piece of land out there where you want to build. Say you're going to build brand new, a dentist shop, store.
Practice?
Yeah,
sure, why not? We'll go with that.
A dentist store.
A dentist building.
A dentist building.
You're going to
the toothpick.
That's funny. I've never had to say that.
The tooth shop.
I've never had to say that out loud.
Yeah, right.
I was like, dentist building. Office. Dentist office. But that doesn't really flow. Doctor office flows, but dentist office really doesn't. Okay, anyway.
ADHD.
So you get a piece of land, a site map, right? It's just a piece of land. Bring that in, and then you can actually, in our technology, start dropping in questions and dropping in annotations. Like right away, you can do this in about 2 seconds. And then you can share that with your significant other. You can share it with your business partner. You can share it with your agent and say, hey, I have all these questions. There's a road back here. What, is that part of it? Hey, I have this over here. Hey, I see that there's this weird gutter. So does that mean we have to build like a little bridge over to the building? Or it doesn't matter what it is. The ability to start communicating and sharing that you can do right now with our software. I know this isn't a sponsored podcast or anything, but that's where you can start on your own without having to spend $5,000 to retain someone to figure it out. And then it can go from there. Every step we can help, our software can help communicate agent's done, right? They got paid, and guess what? They're gone. They got paid, they kind of move on. That's the world. Now you're working with an architect. Yeah. Now you're working with an interior designer.
Yeah, well, I get the layout. Like what conveys? Like what conveys? What's the architect do with it?
Well, your architect's going to grab, he or she's going to go probably do a site walk and take a look at your setbacks and where's my building envelope and what does that look like? And you're going to go do an Alta survey, which is $3,000 to $6,000 to do like a full survey. They come out with a laser, make sure that, what's the exact building envelope. That information gets put into CAD. So it doesn't even get into Revit yet. That information gets put into CAD. And you spend a lot of money to get your building envelope. Like what's the topography? What does that look like? So you're going to spend a lot of money doing that. And you're just going to trust the people that are out there getting you that information, because they're going to get that information to your architect. Then your architect's going to say, okay, what do you want? What do you want this to look like? You're going to say, I don't know. Here's my Pinterest board. Here's some inspiration for you. And they're going to go away for 9 weeks, maybe less. Then they're going to bring you back into the office. They're going to pull up Revit on their expensive computer, and they're going to show you kind of a walkthrough of what they came up with you, hopefully with you. A lot of architects do a great job. They're great designers. So, and a lot of them don't want to include you too early on because you might disrupt the flow of the project, and they have 15 other projects that they're working on, right? We believe that because you can get all the information online and you can get on Pinterest, you can do that right now. You know what you want. The architect is a fantastic designer, and they know what they can design you. They're not going to build it, but they know what they can design you. We want to be the bridge in between those two things. So if you're going out on the internet and you're getting all these things, how do you convey and communicate that effectively to your architect? That's us. We want to be the Slack in 3D. You can even make your selections. Just the idea of your selections, not that you've priced anything out yet, but just the idea of what you want, and convey that to the architect. The architect can take a look at that software and say, okay, I got to get this into Revit now, or whatever they're using, CAD. It doesn't matter what it is, but they got to get that in there. So that's kind of that second phase, right? Then you go to the build phase. So you're going to hire a construction company to come in and now build it, right? So how much is it going to be? You probably work out how much it's going to be with the architect and whatnot. And I'm kind of going really deep on this, but I want from this conception, from design selection to material selection to even estimation support. Imagine you had all that data on your own, and the buying power it would give you, the person that's going to pay for that building, and then practice in it. So then say it gets built, and then it gets done, and it goes through its cycle. And the builder hands you a living floor plan 3D digital twin that you can now use to do what? What are you going to do with that? Because they're done. They're paid and done. Each group got paid, and they're done. And that's another problem we saw in the industry. We're not going to solve that, by the way. That's just business. Someone comes in, they do a good job, they get paid, they walk away. That's going to be forever, right? But can we help the deliverable of the next input to the next team and keep the conversation going, so that when I deliver you your 3D floor plan, you can use it now. It has everything in the walls. It has, okay, now you got to put a security system in. So you're going to go hire out a team to put the security system. You normally hand them your flat floor plan and say, hey, here's my CD set. What do you suggest? Then they're going to go do a site walk, and they're going to go give you a bid. Have you ever been through the bidding process with a group on your own build?
Not yet.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And it's not anyone's fault. It's just a nightmare. It takes weeks and weeks and weeks. You go get 3 bids. That's the rule of thumb, right? Get 3 bids. Takes so long to get those bids. But now imagine you give them this floor plan, that's a living floor plan, and they're using that to give you the design that they suggest, the access control, cameras, whatever. That's what you gave them to do. So now you've just kind of level set an estimation. Otherwise, you're going to get a different report from each of them. And one's going to have MSRP, one's going to be cost plus, one's not. Right? They're all over the board. And you're going to say, I don't know which one to pick. This one's really expensive. I want to know why this one is really expensive. This one isn't expensive enough. This one looks like it's really undercutty. Like, giving you, the owner, that buying power. that data in your hand to know everything in your walls, so that you're now confident that they're going to give you back a good design because they know everything that you just provided them. That data is key. Otherwise, I got to look at your floor plan. Now I got to do a walkthrough. So I'm going to do a whole walkthrough of a building you just built, just because I want to make sure, but they'll always do a walkthrough. Now do that 6 times a month for different projects, or we'll say a quarter, right? Maybe not a month if it's a dentist place, but it's
Place.
yeah, I don't know, a dentist building. Practice.
Yeah.
I don't want them to practice. I want to be professionals.
Yeah, right.
We should call it
it's an office.
Yeah, it's
right?
a practice. Why do we call things practices?
Office.
You're not practicing on my teeth.
You shouldn't practice.
Hey, practice on my spine next.
Yeah.
It's like, don't. We shouldn't call them
spinal practice.
spinal practice.
Yeah, that's what doctors do.
There's a doctor's office.
You practice medicine.
I want a spinal
Why do
professional.
you practice? I practice framing. I'm not good yet.
Yeah. Anyway. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Tangent.
Focus.
Yeah. Anyway, so you kind of get where we're going with it, and the key here is simplicity, right? We want to be simple. We want it to be simple.
Yeah.
We want it to be something you can use, and a very low learning curve. But it isn't about the 3D modeling as much, right? It's not about the hyper realistic modeling. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you just need good enough to make the right decision and have the right buying power at your level.
So we're dealing with so you mentioned Blender, you mentioned SketchUp earlier. So as Canva is to Adobe, the software is to a SketchUp. A simplistic way of massing and conceptualizing a building, and something that's going to be able to convey party to party from front end to back end. Fair?
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, follow-ups.
Mic drop.
Yeah. So like I want to see more in the way, and I've been thinking about this a lot, because you think about the issues that we see, and I'll even go in the AI front, right? I'll even push into that a little bit, because I think that's a ton of fun. I know Eddie will love this, but I think AI generating a lot of the structural elements for us and helping us map that stuff out is a thing that is going to be really interesting to watch, I'll say.
You want to talk about that?
I think it's coming.
Well, it is, but here's how it has to happen. Data. We talked earlier about a company that needed a data set. You know why they need the data set?
They can't do anything unless they have it, right?
Exactly.
Like you have to have something to read in order to.
Yeah, it wasn't a trick question.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, of course they need data because they're nerds in a cave like me.
Yeah.
And they're, what we need is information so that we can build an ML model, machine learning model that can do something. But here's the trick. That's going to sound really arrogant. I saw this coming a long time ago. And one of the biggest gaps we needed was the ability to store that data, right? So in the mid-2000s, remember the biggest investments were in cloud computing, and everyone was like, what's the cloud? Remember that whole conversation? It's still this conversation. It's just a data center, guys and gals. It's just a whole giant room full of servers.
Yeah.
We just threw trillions of dollars into making them bigger and faster and better. So we needed that data set first off. The only reason we have an LLM today, guys, is because of us. Do you think they put the Encyclopedia Britannica in and that's why we have an LLM? No. It's because you and I have been contributing to that data set since 1998. 97, maybe 97, right? Internet. Now we have chat rooms, okay? Social media skyrockets in mid-2000s and gets even faster in 2009. You have us nonstop talking to each other, right? We're in social media, all these different things. So we're doing all these things. So now you have all this data being able to provide an LLM, a large language model. And if you haven't used it, you should. I'm sure you have. It's amazing. It's amazing. It helps me speed up my day. And that's valuable, even by 30 minutes. It's extremely valuable. So if you look at that example, and then you say, okay, how are we going to do this for buildings? Well, what data set are we going to get? Remember I talked about how these teams are siloed? Do you think they share data with each other?
No, absolutely not.
They don't. Well, they don't need to. Why would they? I'm not saying that they all don't. I know I'm making a kind of a generalized statement. These are professionals. They're really good at what they do. I have nothing but respect for anyone I've ever met in the construction industry. That being said, they need to do better. Mm-hmm. And that better is sometimes hard to do because you got to put someone in place to make sure data flows through that. That's why you have construction admins and stuff. So getting back to that data set, right? Why is that important? Well, how are you going to get all that data from each of those people, each of those groups, each of those teams, each of those disciplines to then create a machine learning model that can spit out an instant layout or structural instantly? You're going to build an image recognition AI? That's going to be difficult. AIs they deprecate, right? And AIs have to be continually updated every 90 days. And it's really expensive. What was the number for 100 million?
For chat?
Mm-hmm.
For
yeah,
chat
about
GPT?
100 million.
Yeah.
About 100 million in a nonprofit. Let's not talk about that one, but
yeah.
$100 million. I love what they did. I think they're amazing. I think every competitor that is also coming out is also amazing. And yeah, everyone's like, oh, China just did it for half the cost. Well, did they? How do you know that? They told you?
Yeah.
They said, hey, we did it for 4 million, not 100 million, whatever the number was. Remember, it was like some astronomical.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, oh my gosh, they did it for cheaper.
Yeah.
That's going to continually happen, but it's a data set that already exists. Okay, back to buildings. Okay, all these siloed groups, you have to get all that data and information from them. Well, how are you going to do that? Our approach is like, well, let's create something that's a communication platform that's really simple and build upon that and keep it holistic from start to end. Then guess what we have?
Massive data set.
A massive data set.
Yeah.
A massive data set to where I can ingest a floor plan, I can clean it up in 3D very quickly, and I can say with one button, give me a new security plan. And it throws down every single camera I need, interior and exterior, every access control I need, and all the cabling that I need, just for that example. And it did it in a nanosecond. And then I'm like, okay, cool. What's that going to cost me? And then it gives me a range. Now I have that. I'm like, okay, who can do this for me? And then I say, submit my project to the marketplace, find me a security integrator that can come check this work and validate it, because you still need that professional. That's where this is going. So people look at our stuff like, cool, it's another 3D design tool, fantastic. It's not. We built an ecosystem. And in this ecosystem, we're going to be able to capture and gather a lot of information and data to build what we call one-button AIs of the future for buildings. Are we going to get to structural? Yeah, we'll get there. That's a harder beast, right? It's about it's about that thick of a book, or books.
Yeah,
all right.
Got a couple up there.
No, you do. Yeah, to ingest all code and code changes and codes sometimes down to the county level, and it's different than what the city or even the feds want. So there's that data set's going to be tough to maintain. That's the same reason that group wants a customer that has that data. Because if they can ingest that data, then yes, they can build a quicker estimation tool, for example, right? Still 2D. It's still 2D. And guess what? It's still only a slice or a piece of that project, meaning that even that group stuff is only going to help that one team do one thing. So we're saying what we have and the vision we have is much bigger than what we've built. And guess what? It's going to work. You know why? Because everybody can use it. We're enabling everyone to use it. It's more affordable, easy to learn, and it's connected. And if you solve those three things, it doesn't matter what project you have. It doesn't matter what feature you want us to build next, because we'll get there. And it's going to save you time, money, and then guess what? We're going to start building new AIs to further speed up the process.
So in game, do I still need Autodesk?
Yeah. I wouldn't say you. I'd say the professional you hired would still need and Autodesk
I'm a dentist.
tool.
I'm a dentist.
Because remember, you're a dentist in this example. I'm an anti-dentite though. So
anti-dentite.
Well, if
name that.
Okay,
episode.
so I'm an architect now.
Okay,
Do I still need Autodesk?
You will, yeah, because you're going to use either Revit or CAD, and you need to get really specific down to the inch, and you need to spit out still a CD set that goes down to the county and gets stamped and approved to build. So they still do that. We're not going to solve that, nor do we want to. We want to help make that faster, though. Like, we want to enable you as the dentist, customer, the stakeholder, to converse back and forth with your architect who can't share Revit with you. I can't share Revit with you to your phone. And you're out in the field and you're like, I like this floor. And you send them an email and tell them. And then they're going to miss it. And it's a lot of stuff gets missed. We want to help reduce the risk in that. And we want to mitigate the risks of losing something. And so if we are now that communication tool and the architect says, hey, I'm going to force you to use Slack, and that's what we're only going to communicate in. Don't text me, don't email me, don't call my phone and leave a long-ass voicemail, right? And you're going to say, okay, how do we use it? And you'll say, you just chat in this right here. That's all you do. That's where we want our software to be, the 3D Slack. So they share that with you. And then say phase one is getting a lot of design ideas from you. Like, what do you want? And that's the first phase of the project. And we're just going to use this to communicate in. And we're right there. We're going to save time and money right there.
It splinters off really quickly. Like, and that's, I think that's the thing that I wanted to get at today is like, I want to get people thinking. Because if we're looking at the future of the industry and what could be out there that could be the quote unquote disruptors, I want people to think about this sort of system and the implications of it on their work. Because for me, the more people we have thinking about this, the quicker it might happen. And the quicker we can streamline some of the stuff that we've got going on right now. And for one, it just excites me. Like, it just really excites me. This prospect of having something that can do that is something that really excites me.
Why?
As a BIM guy.
Yeah, because you did steel, right?
Yeah, we did steel. Like, Eddie still does that. And so, like, we see the brokenness within. Like, the tools are good, but the tools can get better. And I think we're at this point now where people are almost frustrated with all of the different tool sets that they have. And we have to roll a lot of that stuff up. And it has to communicate well. Like, it can't just be tools chucked into an existing tool, not integrated very well. It has to be something that's thoughtfully done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's ultimately going to win the day for people is if it's really well done and these tools are integrated into one. Like, because I mean, I hear this all the time. And like we were talking a couple weeks ago about this being one of the biggest headaches on billion-dollar projects is just the data being scattered out everywhere, crap being everywhere. Massive, massive headache for people. And I think ultimately it's going to take something and a thought process like this to get us to a place where we don't have to do that stuff anymore. And it is going to ultimately, I'm excited about the permitting side of this too, where, hey, maybe we don't have to submit paper documentation for permitting.
Imagine that.
Can you think of that? Because, I mean, we know that this takes forever.
Mm-hmm.
We got a use case for that right now, actually.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I would say on the more simple projects, right? So like I need to move a wall, but because I'm moving that kind of wall in a commercial space, I still need to submit it.
Right.
I may not need an architectural stamp on it, because a lot of projects you don't need stamps on.
Yeah.
Well, maybe on that one you would. But anyway,
yeah.
Let's just start there. Yeah. Like, what if you submitted, yes, your paper drawing, but then you also had this communication platform you submit with it, which means now county, what do they call them? The zoning committee, or is that still the zoning committee? Whatever they call them. Whichever group, I guess zoning would be in the beginning, but whichever group needs to kind of approve something. Now imagine them asking the questions through a digital 3D version of what you've submitted them. Mm-hmm. So now you know where they're talking about it. And you have to do that in 3D, guys. You have to have X, Y, and Z. You can't just have it on a flat floor plan and think Bluebeam's going to be enough with a cloud that says, by the way, this is 15 feet up. And now I have to remember that says 15 feet up. I know it's a silly example, and a lot of people are like, that would never happen. It does happen. People miss things all the time. It's hard to understand a flat floor plan. It is. So point being, imagine the committee that has to approve something having a solution where they can ask you right away, just like a Slack channel. So just like hey, over here in the foyer, you have this, this, and this. We're not going to approve this because we need more information on it. Can you provide more information on it? And then you get instantly notified of that right when they put that in. And they're like, oh yeah, we didn't do a great job. Okay, call someone in the office, or you go put something together, put that into the comment field, put a new PDF in the comment field, say, hey, or a new schematic or whatever you need to do to solve that right away, like instantly to the committee now. Because when they review it, it's weeks. Then what they give back to you is like, no, it's not approved. Then you got to go back to the drawing board, which guess what? You got to open up CAD. You got to go open up Revit. You got to go hire a new team maybe sometimes to figure that out. And then it starts that whole process over again. So can we help solve that? Yes. We'll get there.
There was a permitting, was it Nick that was saying that? But he was talking about it taking like 12 months or 2 years or something like that to get permits done on some projects. Like, and they're bigger projects too. Like these are much bigger, and it varies, but
Yeah, depending on where you're at and the bureaucratic red tape you've got to get through.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, tinfoil caps on.
Tinfoil cap club.
Should we? I mean, so one of the things that makes structure complex is that I'm going to build the same building. We've done that with like gas stations. We've done that with other stuff. And then you build it all over the nation. And it's like, oh yeah, it's the same set of structural plans, except for the wind blows different and the ground beneath is different and earthquakes happen differently. And I mean, so there's all these things. Adds complexity. The building changes. The structure changes. Well, now, and we can't control this. It's where the earth works. From a architectural standpoint, from a code standpoint, should we have like more alignment in codes? Like this is all being thrown down in municipalities and, local jurisdictions. And I mean, I understand there's going to be some probably thoughts on why that is because your area better than others and whatever. But, that drives complexity because I've got to know the code for that department. Does this fall down because we're still talking about a person reviewing it? It takes 9 weeks because it's like, it's a person or people that have a workload and they can only do so much so fast.
Yeah.
And so why don't I just submit a thing and it auto checks the model?
I agree.
And then comes straight back to you. And then that's instantaneous. It comes back and feeds back. You have a deficiency and that deficiency is here. This hallway is not wide enough. This stair is too narrow for egress. You need more door. We require fenestration on this side. I mean, like whatever it is, that it would just go in and come out until you have it. And then it approves it. And then you go build it.
And that's that data capture component, right? Like you have to at least have that pool of data in order to have something automatically happen like that.
That's
and
like
so, that's,
I guess the tinfoil cap thing is like, how do we unify code data so that we don't have the variability of like literally every city in the United States having different rules. And some of them live on a literal, like it's 30 pieces of paper in the code office that is interpreted different ways depending on the day of the week.
Right.
And if you don't believe that, go live in a small town for a little while and try to build it.
And the person's mood.
The
person's
mood. I mean, whether you can get to them or not, whether you can get in front of the committee or not, and then
you got CCNRs. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Then you got the opinions on if you go try to build something in Park City versus down in Salt Lake or anywhere else, the CCNRs, that alone is a 4-month review process. It has nothing to do with structural.
Yeah. What is a CCNR?
So it's like the way the building has to look. Like you go build a McDonald's, I'll use McDonald's for, it doesn't matter what it is, the multifamily, right? You go build a multifamily in Park City, it has to look a certain way.
Yeah. We did a driving range in Atlanta, and there's a wall on the end of the driving range that's got stairs on it. And we had to put windows in the wall next to the stairs. And it was one of those. It was
Was
like,
it?
no, we need fenestration on
Yeah.
the wall that faces the road and that faces the road. So you have to put windows in the stairwell.
Yeah.
This served no purpose. And you could literally on the ground floor walk around the end of the wall. Like just silliness. But it's how it has to look.
It has to look that way, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a completely different, I mean, that's the same review committee, right? So it's the same process we're talking about. And to answer your question, is it coming? Someone's working on it.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, AI should never 100% replace a human. I've never believed in that. I'll fight against it if I need to. I'll John Connor this thing if I need to. But like, I just don't want the scar on my face. It's like, how am I going to get that scar? You ever thought about that?
Yeah.
Anyway.
It looks
Is it
really
gonna-
cool though.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Look
But it was
tight.
just like, why did it have to be on the face?
It's tough.
Because it's cool.
Because it's cool. Because it looks like he could take a shot, you know? Yeah, he can. But yeah, back to that. So someone's building it. It's going to happen. AI shouldn't replace 100%. Again, it should get you close enough. In your example, yes. You should be able to ingest something, put a zip code in, and then it provides you your first set of alerts, right? And let's just start with one. Because if you can start with one, then you can build 100. Then all of a sudden what you have after a year or 2 years of data coming in and being shared, you have the ability to ingest that and almost have every single thing you need to submit something to something you're building in California, right? Because earthquake code is different there. So you submit that, but what you're submitting is something that it caught very quickly, an AI caught, not a human.
Yeah.
And you said, oh, we do need to look at all these things. And maybe some of them you don't, but at least it shot 100 things at you in a nanosecond that are probably going to be, they need to be looked at because the committee over there is going to look at it. Or what's the alternative?
Well, that can be bidirectional too, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I can know deficiency before I would push it to them. Like I can know
And submit
whether it's going to fail before I send it to them. My kids, when they push a paper into their teachers on Turnitin, the first step is they put it on there and then they find out, oh, this is reading out that you got 60% plagiarism. You might want to adjust that before you submit it. We could do the same.
Yeah.
And rather than top downing this thing and force feeding code, you know, federal building code, everybody's got to have it, incentivizing this for development. Like the development resources and municipalities and counties having a resource at their fingertips that makes you know, the ingestion of plans and you know, drawing submittals very easy, right? So would you like to adopt instead of you have to adopt? Like development authority, would you like to adopt this system? Because you're going to automatically know that you're code compliant when somebody submits. And they submit a model. They submit a model and the model is ingested and the model is examined and the model comes out and everybody knows that, yeah, it was compliant.
I'll use our town here as an example too. Like the permitting side of things can sometimes just be a complete joke. I mean, I remember like we got a permit out here on our window. I had to go down to the city office, pull the permit, and I went and I put it up because we were doing some work in here, right? And it blew away because we had a storm come through. And I was like, crap. It's like, I can't find it. And, you know, it's got to have the stamp on it and all this stuff, right?
The paper blew away?
The paper on the front of
like the dog
building.
ate it type of a story?
Yeah,
Pretty much,
Dog
yeah.
ate my
Pretty much.
permit.
Okay. Dog ate my permit.
Nobody cared.
No, I went back
Dog
over to
ate
the
a permit.
office and I said, hey, listen, it blew away. Can I get another one of those? And they're like, well, where are you at? I'm like, well, I'm over here. And they're like, oh, no, we can't give you another one. Like,
No,
wait,
they had no record of
They
it.
had no record of it.
They had no record of its existence.
They didn't know it existed. But I paid, what, $100 or something like
It was
that to get the
$300.
permit. Was it how much?
I think it was 300.
$300 to get a piece of paper that they had no idea existed.
Interesting that.
Like, okay, so we're talking about some of the brokenness with it.
My eyeballs
right?
went the same direction as yours
Right?
when that happened. It's up and left.
Opportunity.
I'm like, huh,
Up and left.
right? Interesting.
It's like, yeah, that's we're not going to solve that for this
Well,
town.
I
They
know.
just need
but,
to use Google Docs.
Yeah,
Come on.
right?
Or Dropbox.
But I mean, it shows some of the brokenness within just even some of the smaller municipalities of like how they're handling some of this stuff. And like, I think that's a headwind that many people like. This is a small example of that. But like,
But you deserve it too.
Right.
Like you all deserve what the LAs and the New Yorks are doing.
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, even if who knows who the best municipality is, that does that stuff, right? Like, I would love to find out who really has it locked down and has a very good system for it.
You're talking about a top-down approach.
Yeah.
And we're saying, okay, that needs to happen, but that's going to take politicians to get involved, right?
Yeah.
And then you have bottom-up approaches, the data set.
Mm-hmm.
Let's build the data set.
Yeah.
And if we build the data set and say even in your town, and then all of a sudden every single owner here or tenant is being able to submit a living floor plan solution and saying, hey, no, we have it all right here. This is what we use now. And they're like, oh, I can talk to you in this? They're like, yep. Then it starts to get the politicians to listen.
Yeah, right.
And be like, wait a second, this is powerful.
Well, we've been ranting for a bit now.
Yeah.
I want to ask you our megaphone question though. Okay, so I don't know if I even teed you up for this at all, but the megaphone question is, if we gave you a megaphone for the whole industry to hear, whole construction industry to hear, in around 60 seconds, what would you want to say?
Yeah, we need to do better, and everyone deserves to communicate more effectively, and they should communicate in 3D. Mm-hmm. 3D is powerful. You're going to be able to consume information in 3D. We live in 3D, so why are we not ideating and communicating in 3D? Digital twins are expensive. They're for the elite. They are for hyper-realistic VR experiences. They're cool, but that's all they are. We've turned it into a communication platform for everyone, and everyone deserves this, and everyone deserves to have it on any device to where they can share it instantly, get feedback instantly, and make a decision or come to the meeting better prepared.
It's good stuff, man. Dude, thanks for flying your butt all the way out here. This was great.